Hey guys, I want to talk to you a little bit today about one thing that is going to happen to you at some point when you truly develop this abundance mindset that I've talked about over and over again here. When you truly break yourself free of the thought track that everything on the earth is scarce and the whole scarcity mindset, and you really truly start to live in this way, and this is your mindset, and you take this on, you embody this, and you really buy into this. You believe it deep down in your heart that the world is abundant and anything that you want is out there in mass in just wonderful, immeasurable, infinite abundance, let's say. Well, one thing that you're going to have to combat and that you're going to face is the fact that unfortunately the rest of the world, and in fact most of the world as I see it, will continue to live in a scarcity mindset. And you're going to, at many points in time, you're going to be challenged. You're going to have people continue to try to convince you that things are scarce and that your mindset is unrealistic and that they think there really isn't an abundant world out there, and they're just going to continuously fight you on this, and this is going to happen your entire rest of your life. I think it is a sad reality that more people than not walk their entire time on the earth thinking as they do in a scarcity mindset, and therefore their actions and their opinions on what certainly they do with their lives, but a lot of times they try to rub off on us and make us think that the world is scarce and that we're foolish to go after things we want, or to think that we're ever going to achieve or attain the things that we're dreaming of. And it's a challenge that you're going to have to stare in the face and overcome. And sadly enough, a lot of times I do find that this sort of rhetoric comes at you from people that are close to you. It's going to be your friends and your family, and that's when it becomes really hard. It's obviously easy to brush things off. You might get an opinion from a total stranger today, and you won't really lose much sleep over that. But I guarantee you, it's going to sink in and it's going to challenge your mind, and it's going to be hard when you have a family member try to convince you that something's scarce, or you have a friend that tries to talk you out of doing one thing over the other because they think it's scarce. And it's hard to overcome that, because I think a lot of us, we want to trust those people in our lives that are close to us, but some people are just never going to get this, and you have to have the ability to see over them and around them, and to not let their words sink in and try to convince you of the ridiculousness that there really is. I think just the epitome of living in scarcity is it is ridiculous, and that's unrealistic. I mean, that's not the real world as far as I see it. And that's a very sad way to go through life. But as I said, most folks on the face of this earth are going to go their whole time here, and that's their mindset. They think that every single thing is scarce out there, and they're going to try to convince you that you need to think as they do, or you should do any number of things because of their mindset and their doubts about the true nature of the world. I want to share a really small story from my weekend. I had got together with a couple good friends of mine, and we were just talking about my last few years of dating, and yes, I'm certainly still desirous of meeting a special person in my life. I hope that, well, I know it's going to happen at some point. Hopefully sooner than later would be my hope, but whatever. It doesn't matter when it comes. But we were having a discussion about the fact that she was trying to set me up with a girl that lives like 3 to 4 hours driving time away from the area where I live at, close to a big city where my home is at. And we were going back and forth, and I was just telling her how unrealistic I thought, at least for me. I'm not saying this is everybody. Plenty of people do long distance relationships. I've done them before, and I absolutely hate them, and I won't do it again. And I know that that's just not realistic for me. That's not the important part of the conversation here as it relates to the subject matter that I'm talking about. But what is important is the fact that we were going back and forth, and I was just trying to tell her, I'm like, I'm sure she's a really nice person and it would be great to meet her. This is unrealistic, but I mean, why would I do that? Why would I drive 3 to 4 hours and try to start a new relationship, or even try to just meet somebody, like just for the heck of it, like put that effort into like just driving out into the middle of the state just cause. And I'm like, we live in an area there's more than 1 million people probably almost 2 million people now living in my immediate geographic area. And I'm just like, listen, like within 1 hour's drive time and even less, I've got just an endless abundance of people that I could possibly meet out there. And like, why would I, do this sort of long distance thing? And that idea just did not compute in her mind. And she was so combative with me, and she's was trying to argue with me that, and by the way, this person means very well. She's a good friend. She wasn't saying this to be, a bad person or anything, but we just disagreed on our mindset, of course, as I'm outlining here. But she was just trying to make the argument that it's like, well, you've been living in this area for 7 or 8 years now, and like you haven't met, a spouse yet, and you haven't whatever. And I'm just like, yeah, that's true, but I've dated plenty of girls in the interim, and I'll continue to meet other people. And I'm like, just because you see it that way and you're like applying this scarcity mindset onto my situation and onto my life. She was trying to use that to say like, well, you haven't had any luck here so far, so like you should go 3 to 4 hours out and you should give this girl a chance. And I'm just like, you just don't get it. I'm not one to argue, and I didn't throw things back and forth with her too much, but in my brain, I'm just like thinking to myself, no matter what I say, like this person just does not get it, and they don't understand this abundance mindset, and they don't think the same way that I do. And I refuse to let somebody like that try to blanket my situation. And in her eyes, she's very much expressing this sense that she feels that finding a good person in my area is scarce because I haven't been able to do it in the last 7 or 8 years of living where I'm living at. And I just continue to approach life, and I don't care what anybody says. I don't obviously care, because I know she's wrong as far as I'm concerned about this nature of all these things that I'm talking about. But I know deep down in my heart how abundant the world is. I know there's 1,000,001 other options out there. There's always going to be other people out there or other things or whatever it is that you want. Yes, for me, it's like, yes, I want somebody that lives in an immediate geographic area proximate to me, and it's not insane to think that I'm going to find that, to know that I'm going to be able to find that, because I do approach life with this sort of abundance, and I just know these things. This is what I believe deep down in my heart, and nobody will ever be able to convince me otherwise. And I really hope that each and every one of you is able to get to that point at some juncture in your life where you can start to think on these terms, and it goes above and beyond just kind of saying it and just thinking about it and just feeling a lukewarm sort of way about it. I really hope that every single one of you gets on board and really truly believes this deep down in your heart. And I want you to live your life as if the world is completely, ridiculously, insanely abundant with everything that you ever want and more, because that is reality. That is what is real. That is the world we live in. And anybody else that tries to convince you otherwise and tries to apply their scarcity mindset into your life, that's the big point of the talk here, is like, you're going to have to be able to be strong mentally and not let that affect you, and not let that change your belief system and change how you approach life and change the things that you do with yourself in your life. So, all right, guys, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. We'll talk to you real soon.